Naomi cashed in and left Evolution as the new Women's World Champion. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky had one of the best matches of the weekend, and there was a lot of matches this weekend. Stephanie Vaquer punched her ticket to a future title shot in Paris, and Becky Lynch snuck away with the IC title. And surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, Charlotte Flair got cheered all night. What's good? It's VSOP from Hip Hop and Wrestling. I'm just hopping on to do a quick solo recap of WWE Evolution. No camera this time, just a few thoughts I wanted to get out while it's still fresh on my brain. But I will be back with Steven Gold later this week to break down the whole weekend, Monday Night Raw, and everything leading into SummerSlam, so stay tuned for that. But right now, let's talk about what went down at Evolution. I'll start with the biggest story of the night, and that was Naomi's loss and then win, and then what's next. Now, Naomi losing to Jade earlier in the night, I'm totally fine with that. Jade needed a big win heading into SummerSlam with her title match with Tiffany Stratton. A no-holds-barred match made sense to me. They gave them a way to end the Naomi and Jade feud, or at least pause it. And looking back, I didn't think this would be the end of it, but once Naomi cashed in later that night, then it all clicked. And it was a smart move. The crowd in the building got a surprise. The folks watching at home, they got a moment. And Money in the Bank cash-ins always land, especially when the match was already strong. So with Naomi now on Raw, it gives us some momentum. Io and Rhea can keep going after their matchup, which was excellent, by the way. And now Naomi is right in the mix. But the real question is, how long does Naomi hold on to that belt? Is this a new era for her? Or is she just a placeholder to get the title back on either Io or Rhea Ripley? Now, talking about that match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, it was excellent. That match itself, it was too good for the cash-in to even ruin it. Now, if that match had ended like in a DQ or a countout, sure. Now, that would have felt flat, and I was worried about that once that ref took that bump. But Naomi running in, that actually added something. It felt like a moment and not a cop-out. And let's be real, most people, including myself, thought Naomi would go after the SmackDown title and maybe crash the Jade versus Tiffany match at SummerSlam. So doing it here, that caught people off guard, and it worked. But the match itself still delivered, and now we got layers. Rhea still hasn't beaten Io one-on-one, so that story's still hanging. And I thought Rhea was going to win. She was my pick, but I'm fine with how this played out. It keeps the feud going, and it gives us more to look forward to. All right, so let's talk about that opener, that triple threat IC title match. They opened the show with a banger, just like the main event, and this one hit from start to finish. We got Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. Now, Lyra held her own with these two veterans, Becky and Bayley, and all three of them made the match work. Now, the finish, Bayley had Lyra pinned, and Becky swooped in to steal it. And yeah, that kind of finish happens all the time in wrestling, but in this case, it fit. Now, I had predicted that Becky would sneak out with the win anyway, so it tracked. But it gives Bayley something to say on Raw, like, if you hadn't stolen that pin, I'd be the champion. Now, this story isn't new. We've seen it 4,080 times. But in wrestling, that's just how it goes. Same moves, different players. And it worked for Becky's character. It gives them an excuse to keep the feud going. Personally, I would love to see someone new added in, but right now, the whole IC title scene is just these three. So until that changes, I'm fine with it, especially when the match was this good. Blake Monroe turned on Jordynne Grace. This heel turn was predictable from the jump. And the second they aired that segment where Jordynne Grace asked Blake Monroe to come to ringside and Blake hesitated just for a little bit, you knew where that was headed. Yeah, they tried to throw us off with Blake fighting off Fatal Influence later in the match, but once she got her hands on that title belt, yeah, you could see it coming. And real quick, what was Jasmine Nix doing? She had a full-on moment with that belt, just staring at it like it was a slice of cake. And then Blake comes and smacks her, grabs the belt, and then takes the shot at Jordynne. Now, was that a planted seed for something else, or just a weird beat? Anyway, I wasn't shocked. Michael Cole didn't even call it right. Blake Monroe feels way more natural as a heel. Even going back to her AEW days as Mariah May, She's got that snobby, smug vibe that works better when she's the one doing the damage. Now the question is, does this lead to her going after Jacy Jayne's title? Or is she just in it for herself and doesn't care who's champ? Either way, she's got an angry Jordynne Grace to deal with. Charlotte Flair was getting a lot of love from the crowd in State Farm Arena. You couldn't miss the crowd response to Charlotte Flair. It was loud, it was positive, and it didn't feel forced. Now let's be real, WWE's been trying to rehab Charlotte's image since WrestleMania, and pairing her with Alexa Bliss, that's helped a lot. She's been more humble, and people are finally giving her credit for what she's done in the women's division. She is one of the pillars, alongside Becky, Bayley, and Sasha. And even though Sasha's not there anymore, Charlotte helped shape what women's wrestling looks like today. You can't deny that. So yeah, this reaction felt earned. Dave Meltzer mentioned the crowd might have skewed more towards women and kids that night. Maybe not. We'll know more when SmackDown rolls around. For now, I'm not shocked by the cheers. WWE fans turn fast. They'll boo you one week, and they'll chant your name the next week. But Charlotte's always been able to play it both ways. So if she's not in the title picture, and she's telling different stories, maybe even holding tag team gold down the line, then cool. Let it breathe, let it grow. If it's working, no need to fix it. Friday, that'll be the real test. So what was the vibe with Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus? The match, it wasn't bad, but if we're ranking the card from top to bottom, well, it's at the bottom. And it's not because it was weak, just because everything else on that show hit harder. Trish looked good, she's still sharp, she's still moving well, the crowd was into it, but Tiffany Stratton, she seems to be a little cold right now. You tell me what you think. Beating Trish was the right move. That win gives her something to build on heading into SummerSlam. But right now, the crowd hasn't fully bought in either way. And the match with Jade Cargill needs some heat, because both of them need to come in strong, or else that New York crowd is probably going to flip the entire match. So which role is Tiffany playing? Is she the heel here? Or are we doing face versus face? Honestly, it makes more sense for her to lean into the arrogant side, the youngest woman's champ, a chip on her shoulder. She hasn't really turned full face anyway, so go ahead and just push the attitude. This win helped, but now it's time to turn up the energy. Let's talk about Stephanie Vaquer for a moment. Me and Stephen Gold predicted that Stephanie Vaquer would win the Women's Battle Royal and get that title shot at Clash at Paris. Why? Because she's just that hot right now. She's everything that Tiffany Stratton isn't at the moment from a hot perspective. Now Stephanie, she's got the look, the energy, the presence, and the work rate. She barely speaks fluid English, and it doesn't even matter because when she does speak, it sounds real and it connects. This win made sense. It sets her up for Clash at Paris later this summer, and I wouldn't be shocked if she's holding gold by the end of the year. She's got WrestleMania in her future, no question. I was also happy to see Lash Legend as one of the final two. I'm a big Lash Legend fan. She's got that it factor as well. And it's only a matter of time before she shows up on the main roster and makes some noise. But for now, this was Stephanie's moment. Even with Julia in the mix, who's got the US title and is in a great spot, it's clear that WWE is going all in on Stephanie Vaquer. Also, with her standing in the ring with Stephanie McMahon after the match, that looked like a cosign to me. It's time to ride that momentum. So that's it for now. I just wanted to hop on and give my quick thoughts. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out hiphopandwrestling.com for merchandise. I got more content dropping soon, including the full podcast with Stephen Gold later this week, so stick around. And if you're still in the mood to talk wrestling, go ahead and click on one of the videos on the end screen. I'll talk to you soon.
Right now, you're checking out the SOP.
Hip hop and wrestling.